Hello YouTube, this is the Bucket coming at you today with my Walther Model 8. This is the gun that kind of inspired the Walther PP and the Walther PPK. The patents started coming out for these in 1919 and they ran from 1920 to 1940. Unlike the Walther Model 7 that I did a video on just recently, these guns were really designed for the commercial market, and they were designed to be a pocket pistol that people could carry for personal protection. They're really identifiable by these discs that have the Walther monogram on one side and then the 6.35 for the 25 ACP medallion on the right-hand side. These guns were designed to be a point-and-shoot affair, kind of a belly gun that, people could just carry with them. They have very, very modest sights, and they were really just have a couple of features that really kind of lend themselves to what they were going to design for the Walther PP, and that would evolve into the Walther PPK. The Walther Model 7 had a 180-degree throw safety on the back that was really hard to engage and disengage. One of the big things that they had was this safety that was a lot more functional and easy to use for people. Just right here at the grip, you could slide it on and slide it on and off relatively easy. Mine sticks a little bit, but it's still a lot better than the one that they had originally. As far as the markings on the pistol, it will say Walther Patent Model 8, and then it'll have the Walther banner. You're going to have a fire and an F and an S on this side of the firearm. Mine has a made in Germany, which usually means that they were for the export market, although some people claim that some soldiers did carry these into war and it still said the made in Germany. On the right hand side it says Waffenfabrik Walther Zelle Thur. It does have a crown over N on the frame and a crown over N on the slide. Again, mine's not the most beautiful example that you can find. You'll know that there's three variants of it. The Type 1 and the Type 2 had latches right here for disassembly. The Type 3 had a spring-loaded latch and did not have the catch right here. You'll also find the serial number on the first variants right here back on the tang, and they did move those for the Type 2 and the Type 3 variants. The magazines are marked. The early ones have this wide W mark, which is correct for the Type 1 variant. The Type 2 and the Type 3 had the Walther banner logo down here at the bottom. The overall specs on this pistol, it shoots from an 8-round detachable box magazine. The overall length is going to be 5.12 inches. The barrel length is going to be 2.87 inches. The width is going to be 0.9 inches. The height is going to be 3.54 inches. And the weight with a mag is going to be 12.9 ounces. Although there is some documentation out there that they made some with an aluminum frame that would drop that weight down to around that 9-ounce mark. To disassemble this pistol, all you do is push in on your latch and pull down. If you've ever disassembled a Walther model, Walther PP or PPK, that will be very similar, although theirs are spring-loaded, and the Type 3 variants are going to be spring-loaded as well. Then you just pull the slide back to the back, lift up. Well, this is the problem that I run into. Okay, so when they're not spring loaded, when you pull back the slide, if you aren't really careful, you'll accidentally hit that trigger guard and you'll lock it back in. So pull back, pull up, and then just the slide pulls off the front. You have the recoil spring around the barrel, just like a FN Model 1910 or of course a Walther PP or PPK. You will have a fixed barrel design. Most of my rifling is gone, but I'll show you how the accuracy performed even with a limited rifling left on the pistol. You will see that the slide is numbered to the gun. It is kind of the way that it assembles and rubs up against the gun. You're going to have a hard time reading that, but you can still read it. On the early Type 1 variants, you can remove the breech block. I'm not going to do that. There's too many small springs in there, and there's really not a lot of benefit to doing it. I don't want to mess up my old gun. Mine's a very early Model 8, and so mine's probably made in 1920 to 1922, and it kind of shows in the amount of wear that it has. As far as functionality, the gun actually ran really pretty well, but I had a problem with my magazine that occasionally I would load up the rounds, and as I put the magazine into the gun, it would hit something on the inside and it would dump all the rounds out. Now, if I could get the magazine into the gun, it would chamber the rounds fine. I had a couple of failures to feed, but for a 104-year-old gun, it wasn't so bad. But I think what happened is, so I had a different problem with my Walther Model 7, and what I'm guessing is they didn't heat treat these magazines, which made the feed lips a little bit prone to being able to be prone to bend out on its own. And what I think happened on both of these guns is I think the last person that used it left 8 rounds in it, and over 50 to 100 years of that spring pushing up on those bullets, it just flared out the feed lips a little bit, which has caused some of my problems. So I'm going to do a couple of things. I kind of talked about this in my Walther Model 7 video. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take these to John at Knapp Weaponry. He's an awesome guy and he's really good with magazines. I'm going to see if he can retune both of these magazines. But on top of that, I found there's a company called Sarco who makes reproduction Model 8 magazines. And if you read what Ed Buffalo says on Unblinking Eye, he says that the two magazines are interchangeable. Now, neither one of mine will interchange, so I think that's part of my problem with my feed lips. So I'm hoping that this reproduction Sarco Model 8 magazine is going to work, and maybe that'll fix all my problems. And if it does, I'll definitely come back to you guys and bring another video talking about how my Model 8 magazine worked in my Model 8, and maybe see if it'll work on the Model 7. I'll also come back to you and see if John at Knapp Weaponry can kind of retune these magazines and see if he can get them to function. Now, that being said, I could get this gun to actually fire, and it would fire somewhat reliably. So at 7 yards, this is the kind of accuracy I got, which that's a 2-inch circle, and getting able to get 2 out of 5 rounds in a circle isn't too bad, and all of these would hit center mass on a body size target. So, you know, it can have some real functionality to it. I wouldn't want to get shot with a 25 ACP pistol. It may not be what I would first choose, but it definitely works, and it was a lot of fun. I love these blue enamel medallions. I love the size of. I'm a pocket pistol guy. I like vest pocket pistols. This is probably a little bit bigger than a vest pocket pistol. This was just a fun gun. I really, really enjoyed it. So if you ever see one of these, a Model 7 or a Model 8, they're really cool guns. They're cool pieces of history. Just know that you may have a magazine that may not function 100% correctly, and just know that you may need to mess with it, or understand that you may only get 3 to 5 rounds without having a malfunction on these pistols. You may luck out and get a really great magazine, and your gun may run flawlessly. Just go into it and understand that there's a likelihood that you may end up with some reliability issues, not because the gun was designed poorly, but probably because the magazine's just worn out over 100 years. So I really had a fun time bringing this gun to the channel. All the likes, the comments, the shares, they're really appreciated. And as always, you stay classy, YouTube. Little baby bucket, do you want to live in California?
No.
Why?
Because I'm not a compliment.